All right, let's jump right into one of the biggest, most counterintuitive ideas in finance, pulled straight from Morgan Housel's amazing book, The Psychology of Money. It's a concept that is so simple, but it could completely change how you think about getting rich. And it's this: real wealth is what you don't see. I want you to just think for a second about the most successful-looking person you know. You know the one. They've got the amazing car, the designer clothes, the picture-perfect life on social media. Now, what if I told you that person might be just one paycheck away from being completely broke? It's a wild thought, right? But it gets right to the heart of what we're talking about today. And to really get our heads around why that is, we're going to start with a great story from someone who had a front-row seat to this whole illusion of wealth, a valet. So let's set the scene. It's the mid-2000s in Los Angeles, a place where, as Housel says, what you looked like was pretty much more important than anything except breathing. I mean, people were literally defined by the car they pulled up in. It's the perfect place to study our weird assumptions about money.
And this gets at a mental shortcut that, let's be honest, we all take. You see a flashy car, you think, wow, that person's loaded. You see a massive house, you think, they've definitely made it. We have to rely on these outward signs because we can't exactly ask to see their bank statements, right? But that's the trap.
Let's make this super real with a guy named Roger. So Roger was a young guy and he drove a Porsche. In that LA scene, that was all anyone needed to see. Everyone, and I mean everyone, just assumed he was absolutely crushing it. I mean, he had the ultimate symbol of success parked out front. But then, one day, Roger pulls up in an old Honda. Okay. Then he does it again the next week, and the week after that. So finally Hals asks him, "Hey, what happened to the Porsche?" And Roger just casually says, with no embarrassment at all, "Oh, it was repossessed." Just like that. Every single assumption people had made about this guy was completely, totally wrong. And this is the whole point in a nutshell. When you see someone driving a $100,000 car, the only thing you know for sure about their money is that they have $100,000 less than they did before they bought it. Or, more likely, $100,000 more debt. That's it. That is literally all that car tells you.
So, if spending money on flashy things isn't wealth, then what is? Well, that brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. True wealth is what's hidden.
This right here, this is the real definition. Wealth is all the nice cars you don't buy. It's the fancy watches you admire but leave in the store. It's having the discipline to say no to that first-class upgrade. It's the money that stays in your account, quietly growing for you, instead of sitting in your driveway losing value every single day. Here's how Housel puts it himself. It's the money that stays, as savings, as investments. It's not stuff. It's potential. It's options. This sounds so simple it's almost silly, but it is a massive, profound point. When most people say, "I want to be a millionaire," what they're actually picturing is spending $1 million. But that's literally the opposite of what it takes to be a millionaire. There's a great story about the singer Rihanna who almost went broke. Her advisor had to tell her, "If you spend money on things, you will end up with the things and not the money." And you know what? A lot of us need to hear that. So this leads us to probably the most critical distinction in personal finance, the thing that separates smart decisions from disastrous ones, the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Okay, let's break it down. Being rich is about your current income. It's very visible. You need a big paycheck to cover the payments on that $100,000 car. Rich people are actually pretty easy to spot. But wealthy, that's hidden. That's about your net worth, what you own minus what you owe. It's the income you manage not to spend. The wealthy person is the one who takes that 100 grand and invests it instead of buying the car. Housel has this fantastic analogy in the book that makes this concept completely click. Think about it this way. Going to the gym and working out, that's like being rich. It's the visible part. You're burning calories, putting in the work. But real, lasting fitness and real, lasting wealth comes from the second part, skipping the giant pizza and dessert on the way home. That's the unseen discipline. That's what creates the gap between what you burn and what you consume, and it's in that gap where all the long-term results are made. Okay, so if this is all pretty simple, why is it so hard? Why do so many of us get it wrong? Well, that leads us to a huge psychological roadblock, the imitation problem. And this is the big challenge, isn't it? As humans, we're hardwired to learn by watching and copying other people. It's how we learn to talk, to walk, everything. But if the very definition of wealth is that it's invisible, who are we supposed to copy? How can you learn a skill that you can't see anyone performing?
Here's the problem. We are swimming in rich role models. We see their cars, their houses, their amazing vacations plastered all over our screens. It's so easy to imitate their spending. But wealthy role models? I mean, by definition, their success, their boring index funds, and their fat savings accounts is totally hidden from view.
And it really all boils down to this. It is incredibly hard to master a skill when you can't watch the masters at work. It's like trying to become a chef, but you're not allowed to see the ingredients or the recipes. The fact that wealth is invisible makes it so much harder for us to learn how to actually build it.
All right, so if the point isn't to buy all the fancy stuff, then what is the point of wealth? Why go through all this trouble, all this unseen discipline? Well, that brings us to our final and honestly the most important part of this.
The whole point of building wealth isn't just to watch a number get bigger on a screen. It is not about hoarding cash just for the sake of it. It's about what that unspent money actually buys you. And this is the real payoff. This is the good stuff. Wealth gives you options. The option to quit a job you hate. The option to deal with a medical emergency without panicking. The option to retire when you want to. It gives you flexibility and, most importantly, the freedom to control your own time. And that is the most valuable thing any of us will ever have. That's what you're really buying with the money you don't spend. So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. Knowing that true wealth isn't about what you buy, but about the freedom and the options you build for yourself, what options are you going to create? It's a powerful way to look at things, and honestly, it might be the single most important financial lesson there is.